The jungle was alive with strange sounds. Thick vines hung from giant trees, glowing faintly in the darkness. Insects with shining wings buzzed in the air, and every shadow seemed to move on its own. It was not like any forest on Earth. This place belonged to another world, a world where danger hid in every corner. The human explorer moved slowly, step by step, careful not to make sudden noise. His boots pressed against the soft ground, leaving marks in the damp soil. He could feel eyes watching him, though he could not see who or what they belonged to. The air was heavy, and the silence between the strange animal cries felt deeper than any silence he had known before. High above, hidden among the thick branches, an alien girl was watching. She was tall, with luminous skin that reflected the faint light. Her sharp eyes followed every move the human made. She had been told that humans were dangerous, selfish, and weak creatures who could not be trusted. She had no reason to believe otherwise. Yet something about this human made her hesitate. He was not charging blindly into the jungle. He was calm, almost respectful, as if he understood the place. The ground shook with a sudden roar. It was deep, powerful, and filled the air with fear. Birds scattered from the trees. Small creatures ran for cover. Even the wind seemed to stop for a moment. The alien girl tensed. She knew that roar. It belonged to the apex predator of this world, a beast feared even by her kind. She expected the human to panic, to run like prey. But he didn't. The human froze, listening carefully. His hand did not reach for a weapon. Instead, he crouched low, scanning the ground. He placed his hand gently on the soil, feeling the vibrations. His face showed no fear, only focus. This puzzled the alien girl. Most humans would have screamed or fled by now. The roar echoed again, closer this time. Leaves shook and branches cracked. Something large was moving nearby. The human slowly lifted his head, his eyes searching the shadows. He whispered something to himself, words the alien girl could not understand. Yet his tone was steady, almost like he was reminding himself to stay calm. From her perch above, the alien girl's mind raced. Why was this human here? What was he looking for in a place where even hunters of her tribe rarely entered? She wanted to reveal herself, to confront him, but her instincts told her to stay hidden. The human continued forward, one careful step at a time. He stopped near a pool of water, its surface glowing faintly under the alien sky. Strange plants grew at the edge, their petals opening like glowing lanterns. He touched the water, washing his face, and then looked up at the stars that barely pierced through the jungle canopy. His breathing slowed, as if he found peace in this hostile place. Then, a sound broke the stillness, soft rustling in the bushes behind him. The human turned quickly. His hand went to the small pack on his belt. The alien girl leaned forward, expecting him to pull out a weapon. But he did not. Instead, he waited. From the shadows, glowing eyes appeared. 2, then 4. Then 6, small shapes crept into the open. They were not the apex predator, but younger creatures of the jungle, curious and hungry. Their sharp teeth glistened, and their low growls filled the air. The human stood very still. The alien girl tightened her grip on the branch. She expected him to fight. She expected blood. But the human did something strange. He reached into his pack and slowly pulled out dried rations. He knelt down, placed them gently on the ground, and then backed away. His movements were slow, deliberate, showing no threat. The creature sniffed the food, growled softly, and then began to eat. The alien girl's eyes widened. Never had she seen a human act this way. No violence, no attempt to prove strength, only patience and calm. The ground rumbled again. This time, the air filled with a growl so deep it made the trees tremble. The smaller creatures scattered instantly, vanishing into the shadows. The human straightened slowly. His eyes searched the dark as the true danger approached. Heavy footsteps echoed, crushing branches with every step. The alien girl's heart raced. She knew what was coming. The apex predator, the ruler of this jungle, was near. She leaned closer, unable to stop watching. Would this human finally show fear? Would he run like all others did? The shadows shifted. A massive shape appeared between the trees, glowing eyes burning like fire. The predator's snarl cut through the air. The human did not run. He took a slow breath, his eyes locked on the beast. The alien girl felt a chill run through her. For the first time, she wondered if this human was truly different. The jungle held its breath. The jungle was quiet again, but the silence was heavy. The roar of the apex predator still echoed in the human's mind, yet his heartbeat had slowed. He stood firm, eyes fixed on the shadows. His body was calm, but his senses were sharp, ready for whatever would come next. High above, hidden between glowing leaves, the alien girl crouched low. Her glowing eyes watched every small movement the human made. She had been following him for hours, but now her interest had grown stronger. She had seen humans before, but this one was not like them. Most humans shouted, broke branches, and scared off creatures. They acted as if the jungle was their enemy. But this one moved like he belonged here. The alien girl's long fingers dug into the bark of the tree. She wanted to test him. She wanted to see if he was pretending, or if he truly understood the danger around him. Slowly, she let out a faint whistle, a signal that usually drew small predators out of hiding. The sound cut through the stillness. The human's head turned slightly. His eyes narrowed. He did not call out. He did not panic. Instead, he crouched and picked up a small stone. Without looking up, he rolled it gently across the ground toward the bushes. The stone bounced twice and landed softly. A faint growl came in response, followed by the glowing eyes of a stalking beast. The alien girl smirked. Now she thought, he will show fear. But the human did something strange again. Instead of pulling out a weapon, he slowly crouched lower, his palm pressing against the earth. He breathed deeply, listening to the growl. Then, he made a sound, not a roar, not a shout, but a calm hum. The sound was soft, steady, like a low song. The creature froze, confused. Its glowing eyes blinked. It tilted its head, growled again, but softer this time. Then, after a few moments, it turned and slunk back into the shadows, leaving the human unharmed. The alien girl's heart skipped. She had never seen such a thing. Her people fought these beasts with spears and fire. They killed them or chased them away. But this human, he tamed it with nothing but patience. Who was he? She shifted her weight, making the branch creak. The human's head snapped up. His eyes scanned the trees. The alien girl pressed herself into the shadows, her breath caught. For a moment, she feared he had seen her. But then, instead of pointing a weapon toward the trees, he simply whispered again. His voice was low, almost as if he was speaking to someone unseen. The alien girl frowned. Did he know she was there? She waited, silent, watching him. The human moved to a clearing where strange flowers glowed blue. Their petals opened with a faint sound, releasing small orbs of light that floated like stars. He reached out and touched one, and for the first time he smiled. It was not a smile of pride or arrogance. It was soft, almost sad. The alien girl tilted her head. Why would a human smile at something so simple? In her tribe, humans were called destroyers. They cut trees, scared animals, and never respected life. But this man was different. He moved slowly, admired beauty, and gave food even to dangerous creatures. She felt her chest tighten with confusion. Then came another test. A sudden rustle shook the trees. A pack of small hunters darted into the clearing, their sharp teeth flashing, their tails whipping through the air. They surrounded the human quickly, growling, snapping their jaws. The alien girl leaned forward, ready to watch blood spill. But once again, the human's reaction shocked her. He did not run. He did not shout. He crouched low, placed his pack on the ground, and carefully pulled out a small light stick. With slow movements, he waved it gently across the ground. The hunters froze, their eyes locked on the light. The glow distracted them, and the human slowly tossed the stick away. The creatures chased after it, their growls fading into the jungle. Silence returned. The alien girl's breath caught in her throat. She had tested him twice, and twice he had passed in ways she never imagined. He had shown no fear, no cruelty, no waste of violence. He moved with respect, as if the jungle itself had accepted him. For the first time, doubt grew inside her heart. Maybe everything she had been taught about humans was wrong. She stayed hidden, her eyes glowing in the branches, but now she leaned closer. She wanted to see more. She wanted to know who this human was, and why the jungle allowed him to survive where even her strongest warriors had failed. As the human moved deeper into the glowing forest, the alien girl followed, still silent, still cautious, but no longer only a watcher. She was now curious, and deep inside, though she refused to admit it, she was beginning to feel something she never thought she would feel toward a human, a small spark of trust. The jungle grew darker as the twin moons slid behind the clouds. Strange shapes moved between the trees, and the air grew heavy with silence. Every insect stopped buzzing. Every smaller beast ran into its hole. Even the glowing flowers folded back into themselves, hiding their light. The human stopped walking. He felt it, the change in the air, the sudden silence. It was a warning. Something powerful was near. From high in the trees, the alien girl froze as well. Her body tensed, every muscle ready to spring away. She knew this feeling better than anyone. It was the signal that the apex predator was hunting. Few ever survived being this close. Even her strongest warriors had fallen before its jaws. The human knelt and pressed his palm to the ground. The soil trembled faintly under his hand. The footsteps were slow but heavy, each one shaking the earth like distant thunder. He whispered something to himself again, not words of fear, but a steady rhythm, like a chant keeping his mind calm. The alien girl's eyes narrowed. Why was he not afraid? Why was his breathing steady when even she struggled to stay silent? She clutched the branch so hard that the bark cut into her skin. A low growl rolled through the jungle. It was not loud, it was deeper than sound, like a vibration that passed through the chest. The human's head turned, his eyes searching the shadows, and then it appeared. From between the massive roots of an ancient tree, the predator stepped forward. Its body was massive, covered with dark scales that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Its eyes glowed like twin suns, burning with hunger and dominance. Its fangs were long, dripping with thick saliva that hissed when it touched the ground. The alien girl's breath caught. She whispered in her own tongue, a prayer for her own safety, though she had not prayed in years. She expected the human to flee, to climb a tree, to scream for help. But he did not. Instead, the human slowly lowered himself into a crouch. He did not make himself bigger, like prey trying to scare a hunter. He made himself smaller, lowering his head slightly, his hands open to show no threat. The predator's growl deepened. It moved closer, its massive claws tearing at the ground. Its nostrils flared as it sniffed the air around him. The human stayed perfectly still, his breathing slow, his eyes never leaving the beast's glowing gaze. From her perch, the alien girl was trembling. She wanted to shout at him, to warn him, to tell him to run. But something inside her stopped her. She needed to see what would happen. She needed to see if this strange human was truly different. The predator lowered its head until its glowing eyes were level with the human. Hot breath washed over him, carrying the scent of blood and decay. Its jaws opened slowly, revealing rows of teeth sharp enough to crush bone. Still, the human did not move. Then, in the silence, he did something unbelievable. He slowly extended one hand, palm open. His movements were slow, careful, almost like a ritual. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not raise his voice. He simply offered his open hand, showing trust instead of fear. The alien girl's heart raced. This is madness, she thought. No creature offers trust to the apex predator. The predator growled again, shaking the trees. For a moment, it seemed ready to strike. Its muscles tensed, claws digging into the soil. The human's hand did not waver. His face stayed calm, his eyes locked onto the beast's. Then, the unexpected happened. A smaller sound echoed behind the predator. From the shadows, two small figures stumbled forward. Young ones. The cubs of the apex predator, their scales lighter, their eyes softer. They padded toward the human with curious growls, sniffing the air. The alien girl's jaw fell open. She had never seen the cubs of this beast. No outsider had ever lived long enough to get this close. And now, not only was the human alive, he was near the young. The human slowly lowered his hand toward the ground, letting one of the cubs sniff his fingers. The small creature growled once, then rubbed its scaled head against his hand. The other cub copied, nudging closer without fear. The massive predator watched, silent now. Its eyes narrowed, glowing less fiercely. It did not attack. It did not roar. It allowed the human to stay close to its young. The alien girl's mind spun in chaos. If the ruler of the jungle, the beast even her people feared, could allow this human near its young, then what did that mean? Could the predator see something she could not? Something hidden in the human's heart? Her chest tightened. For the first time in her life, she felt her distrust shaking. The predator gave one final growl, not of anger but of warning, before stepping back into the shadows. The cubs lingered for a moment longer, then followed their parent into the dark. The human stayed where he was, lowering his head slightly as if to honor the great beast from above. The alien girl could not breathe. She had seen what no one else had ever seen. A predator trusting the human, and in that moment, something inside her began to break. The walls she had built against humans, the hate she had been taught since birth. For the first time, she whispered to herself, the jungle seemed different after the predator's departure. The air was heavy but calm, as if the entire forest had taken a deep breath. The human stayed still, crouched low, his hand still warm from where the cub had touched him. He did not celebrate. He did not smile in triumph. Instead, he bowed his head, as if honoring the predator that had spared him. From her hidden perch, the alien girl's chest tightened. She had seen warriors roar after killing beasts smaller than this. She had seen hunters drag trophies through the jungle to prove their strength. But this human, he chose humility. It was not weakness. It was something else, something she could not name. As the silence stretched, another sound rose. A faint whimper. It came from the roots of the giant tree. The human turned his head slowly, eyes searching the shadows. The alien girl leaned forward, her sharp ears catching the sound as well. It was high-pitched, trembling. Another cub, but this one was trapped. Its small body was pinned under fallen branches, its scales scratched, its tiny claws digging uselessly into the soil. It cried out again, a desperate sound that echoed through the clearing. The human stood slowly. His movements were careful, measured, as if he knew the predator was still near, watching. He looked at the cub, then at the trees around him. He knew the parent was out there. He knew one wrong step could mean death. The alien girl's pulse quickened. "No," she whispered to herself. "You cannot." To approach the young of the predator was madness. Even her kind never dared. But the human did. He walked forward, slow and steady. His hands were raised open, showing he carried no weapon. His eyes scanned the shadows, searching for the faint glow of the predator's eyes. The alien girl's gaze darted with his, expecting at any moment to see the beast launch from the dark. The trapped cub cried again, struggling harder. The human crouched beside it. He placed one hand gently on the branch, testing its weight. The cub snapped its small jaws at him in fear, but he did not pull back. He whispered softly, words in his strange human tongue. The tone was calm, gentle, almost like a lullaby. The alien girl shivered. She could not understand the words, but the sound carried peace. Even she felt it. The cub stilled. Its growls turned into weak whimpers. Its glowing eyes blinked up at him, uncertain but no longer wild with fear. The human slid both hands under the branch and pushed. His muscles strained, his teeth gritted, but he did not give up. The branch shifted, then rolled away. The cub was free. Instead of running, the cub stayed for a moment. It sniffed his hand, then rubbed its head against his arm. The human let out a slow breath, his eyes soft with relief from the shadows. A deep rumble shook the ground. The parent predator had seen everything. The alien girl's heart stopped. She expected rage. She expected the beast to attack and tear the human apart, but no attack came. The glowing eyes shone once more between the trees. Then, slowly, the predator stepped forward. Its massive form moved silently through the clearing. The human stayed crouched, unmoving, his head slightly bowed. He was not claiming victory. He was not asking for thanks. He was only showing respect. The cub limped toward its parent. The predator lowered its massive head, sniffing its young, then turned its gaze toward the human. For a long moment, silence reigned. The air itself seemed frozen, and then, the impossible happened again. The predator let out a low, steady growl, not of anger, but of acknowledgement. It gathered its young and stepped back into the forest, leaving the human untouched. The alien girl pressed her hand against her chest, her heart racing. She had seen the apex predator trust him not once, but twice. This was no accident. This was no trick. The beast had accepted him. Her throat felt tight. She had mocked humans all her life, called them selfish destroyers. But now she saw something different. Kindness where there should have been fear. Respect where there could have been violence. For the first time, she felt shame for her own judgment. The human stood, brushing dirt from his hands. He looked around the clearing, then up at the sky, as if he knew he had just walked on the edge of death. Still, his face carried no pride, only quiet understanding. The alien girl whispered to herself, though no one could hear, "If the beast can trust him, then maybe I can too." She stayed hidden, but inside her, the first cracks of change had formed. The jungle had returned to its rhythm, buzzing insects, distant calls of night birds, the slow hum of life. But inside the alien girl, there was no rhythm at all. Her heart beat too fast. Her thoughts twisted like tangled vines. She sat hidden in the branches, her glowing eyes fixed on the human below. He was no longer just an outsider to her. He was a question she could not answer. All her life she had been told stories of humans. They were destroyers, liars, weak beings who only survived by tricks. Her elders had warned her never to trust them. Her own mother's voice still echoed in her mind. A human will smile while holding a knife behind his back. And yet, this human carried no knife. When the predator's cub was trapped, he had not used the chance to win glory or take a trophy. Instead, he had freed it. He had risked his own life not for himself, not even for his people, but for a creature that could never repay him. The alien girl pressed her forehead against the bark. Her claws scratched at the wood, restless. Why? She whispered to herself. Why would a human do that? Below, the human sat by the glowing pool of water. He dipped his hands into the liquid, washing away the dirt and blood from his arms. The faint blue light reflected in his eyes. His face looked tired, but not broken. He looked Peaceful. The alien girl felt her throat tighten. Peace was something she had never associated with humans. She tried to tell herself this was a trick. Maybe he wanted her to see. Maybe he knew she was watching all along. Her gaze hardened. He must have known, she thought. He is pretending. He wants me to believe. But another voice, softer, whispered inside her. If he was pretending, why risk death for a cub? Why not take the easy path? The conflict burned inside her. Her training told her one truth. Her eyes had shown her another. The jungle itself seemed to echo her turmoil. A soft wind moved through the leaves. The branches creaked. Somewhere far away, the predator roared again, but this time it was not a warning. It was simply the voice of the wild. The human looked up toward the stars barely visible through the canopy. He whispered again, speaking words in his strange tongue. The alien girl could not understand, but his tone carried weight. It was not the voice of someone plotting. It was the voice of someone remembering. Someone longing. She tilted her head. Could humans feel sorrow? Could they carry memories the way her people did? Her chest tightened further. She wanted to look away, to run back to her people and tell herself this night had not happened. But she could not. Her eyes stayed fixed on him, like vines wrapped around a tree. For the first time in her life, she felt fear of herself. Fear of her own thoughts. What if her elders were wrong? What if her mother's voice was wrong? What if everything she believed about humans was only a shadow of the truth? The alien girl's claws dug deeper into the branch until the bark cracked. No, she hissed softly. He is still human. He will show his true face. He must. And yet, another thought came. What if his true face is the one I am seeing now? That thought frightened her more than the predator's roar. Below, the human stretched out on the ground, resting his head against his pack. He closed his eyes, but his breathing stayed light, as if he never truly let go of awareness. His calmness unsettled her even more. He was sleeping in the most dangerous jungle of the galaxy, after facing its deadliest beast, and yet his face showed peace. The alien girl pressed her palm against her chest. She remembered her people's words, "Never let your guard fall before a human." But her guard was already cracking. Her mind was at war. Logic screamed at her to hate him, but her heart whispered another truth. She was beginning to trust him, and trust was something she had sworn she would never give to a human. She closed her eyes, and in that darkness, she saw the predator's cub pressing against his hand. She saw the predator itself walking away instead of striking. She heard the whisper of his calm voice as he freed the helpless Dot. No matter how hard she tried, she could not erase the images. When her eyes opened again, she whispered words that scared her more than the beast itself. Maybe. The jungle has chosen him. The alien girl stayed hidden, but her heart was no longer the same. A wall had cracked, and she could not rebuild it. The night grew heavier. Clouds covered the twin moons, drowning the jungle in near darkness. The air smelled of wet earth and smoke, faint but sharp, drifting against the natural scent of flowers and moss. The human stirred, his eyes snapping open. He smelled it too. Smoke did not belong here. It was not the kind that rose from falling lightning or burning trees. This was different, controlled, unnatural. High above, the alien girl stiffened. Her ears caught faint metallic clicks, the sound of weapons being armed. Her sharp gaze scanned the shadows. She saw movement, lights flashing between the trees, armored figures moving in formation. Hunters, not jungle beasts. Not predators born of nature. These were off-world raiders, armed with machines and blades. They came not to respect the wild, but to take from it. She recognized their kind instantly. They hunted rare creatures, captured cubs, and sold them for wealth. The apex predators' young, the same ones the human had freed, would be their prize tonight. Her pulse quickened. If the hunters succeeded, the predator would rage, tearing through everything in its path. Not even her tribe could survive that fury. The human crouched low, listening. He had no armor, no advanced weapons, only his instincts. Yet his eyes burned with sharp awareness. He picked up a broken branch, testing its weight. The alien girl's claws dug into the bark of her perch. She told herself she didn't care what happened to him. He was only human. If he stayed, he would die. But a part of her knew he would not run. She had seen enough to understand his nature. He would stand, and then it happened. The hunters broke into the clearing, their lights cutting through the shadows. One of them barked orders in a guttural tongue. Two carried shock spears crackling with energy. Another dragged a heavy net that glowed faintly. They were prepared for the predator's cubs. The human stepped forward, his figure half lit by the hunter's lamps. He raised no weapon. He simply spoke, his voice firm, carrying across the clearing. The words were unknown to her, but the meaning was clear. Leave, the hunters laughed. One raised his weapon and fired a warning blast that scorched the ground near his feet. The human did not flinch. He shifted his stance, gripping the branch like a staff. From her perch, the alien girl felt torn apart. She wanted to leap down, to fight, but her people's law was clear. Never reveal yourself to humans. Never fight beside them. But the image of the predator cub flashed in her mind, trapped and helpless. She remembered the human freeing it, risking his life without hesitation. Now he was the one standing alone. The hunters advanced. The human swung the branch in a wide arc, striking the nearest weapon aside with surprising force. The clang of metal echoed through the clearing. Another hunter lunged, but the human twisted, moving low, striking his legs and sending him crashing into the dirt. The alien girl's eyes widened. His movements were not wild. They were controlled, precise like the jungle beasts themselves. He was no ordinary human, but there were too many. One hunter swung his spear, the crackling energy grazing the human's side. He stumbled, teeth clenched in pain, but he did not fall. Another tried to trap him with the glowing net. He barely rolled away, the net sizzling as it missed. She felt her chest tighten. If she stayed hidden, he would die. And with him, the fragile spark of trust she had begun to feel would die too. Her claws dug once more into the branch. And then she let go. With a silent leap, she dropped into the clearing. Her tall form landed beside the human, her glowing skin casting eerie light in the darkness. The hunters froze, shocked by her sudden arrival. The human glanced at her, surprise flashing in his eyes, but he gave no words. There was no time. They stood side by side, unspoken understanding between them. One hunter snarled and lunged. The alien girl's arms snapped out, her claws slicing through his weapon shaft, splintering it in half. Another aimed his blaster, but the human slammed his staff against the barrel, knocking it aside before the shot could fire. For the first time, they fought together. The alien girl moved with speed and grace, her strikes like lightning. The human moved with grounded strength, each swing of his branch precise. Where she was sharp, he was steady. Where he was calm, she was fierce. Their styles clashed, and yet somehow they fit. The hunters began to falter. They had expected an easy capture, not resistance from two defenders. One of them human. In the shadows, a low rumble rose, the predator's call. Its glowing eyes reappeared between the trees. The hunters froze, fear replacing arrogance. The alien girl bared her teeth, her voice low. "Leave," she hissed, echoing the human's command. This time the hunters obeyed. They fled, their lights scattering into the jungle. Silence fell again. The human leaned on his branch, breathing hard. His side bled where the spear had grazed him. The alien girl stood tall, her glowing eyes locked on him. For the first time, she had fought beside a human. For the first time, she had broken the laws of her people. And deep inside, she knew there was no turning back. The clearing was quiet again, but the air was thick with tension. Broken weapons lay scattered on the ground, glowing faintly from fading energy. The human leaned on his makeshift staff, his body trembling from exhaustion. Blood stained his side where the spear had cut him, but his eyes were still steady, still watching the shadows. The alien girl stood close, her glowing skin lighting the darkness. Her chest rose and fell quickly, her claws stained with splinters from shattered weapons. She had fought beside him, broken her tribe's law, and for the first time, she felt no regret. But danger was not gone. A low, thunderous growl shook the trees. The hunter's chaos had stirred the predator again. From the shadows, the massive beast stepped forward, its glowing eyes burning brighter than before. The cubs patted at its side, one limping from the trap, the other sticking close to its parent. The alien girl's body froze. Even after everything she had seen, fear clawed at her. The apex predator was unpredictable. It could still kill them both in an instant. The human dropped his broken staff and sank to his knees. His movements were slow, deliberate, respectful. His head lowered slightly as he pressed one hand against the soil. He was not challenging. He was not begging. He was offering himself openly, unguarded. The alien girl's eyes widened. "No," she whispered. To kneel before the predator was madness. It showed weakness. It invited death. And yet, the predator did not strike. The massive beast stepped closer, its claws sinking into the earth, its breath hot and heavy in the clearing. The cubs hurried forward, one of them sniffing at the human's injured side. The human winced but did not move away. He simply let the young creature press against him. The predator lowered its head, massive jaws inches from the human. The alien girl's heart pounded. She wanted to leap down and shield him, but something stopped her. She saw his face, calm, peaceful, and then the impossible happened. The predator's snarl faded into a low rumble, not of threat, but of acknowledgement. It brushed its scaled head against the human's shoulder, marking him with its scent. A gesture of acceptance. A gesture of trust. The alien girl gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Never in her people's history had this happened. No human, no alien. No one had ever been given such honor. The human slowly lifted his hand and touched the predator's jaw, gently with the same respect he had shown its cub. For a brief moment, predator and man stood together as if equals. Then the beast turned, gathered its young, and disappeared into the jungle without a sound. Silence fell. The alien girl dropped from her perch, landing softly beside him. For the first time, she did not hide her presence. She stood tall, her glowing eyes fixed on him. The human looked up, meeting her gaze. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not speak. He simply waited. Her mind was in chaos. All her life, she had been told to fear his kind, to distrust them, to hate them. But tonight, the jungle itself had shown her another truth. The predator, the ultimate judge of worth, had trusted him, and she could not deny what she had seen with her own eyes. She took a slow step forward. Her claws trembled as she lifted her hand. Her instincts screamed at her to pull back, but her heart pushed her onward. The human stayed still, waiting. At last, she placed her hand on his shoulder. Her claws did not cut. Her touch was careful, gentle. It was not the gesture of an enemy. It was not even the gesture of a cautious ally. It was something deeper. For the first time, she had chosen trust. The human's lips curved into a faint smile, not of victory, but of quiet understanding. He raised his own hand and placed it lightly over hers. No words were spoken. None were needed. The jungle around them whispered with life again. The wind moved through the trees. The glowing flowers opened once more, releasing tiny sparks of light that floated around them like stars. The alien girl looked at him and finally spoke, her voice quiet but firm. "You are not like the others." And deep in her heart, She knew this was more than just a moment. This was the beginning of something greater, something her people would never understand until they saw it themselves. The night that began with fear had ended with trust.